I'm now live! Yay! Coach's Corner! All right, let me add my humans. Hold on. One moment, please. All right, we just invited Nick. And now let's invite Dr. Honor. Huh. I don't see her. Hello, Michael and Nick. Nice to have you. Nick, have you joined? This is not working. I'm super not good at technology, everyone. Hey! I'm live, but I'm waiting for my two friends to come. Normally I would just like kiki and be funny. Not that I'm that funny, but I'm getting nervous because this is going to be recorded. So I like have to say the right thing, you know, pretty people, the right thing. I'm trying to let, oh, we've got Nikki.
Hey, boo-boo.
Hi, honeys.
I had
I'm
to switch
trying
devices because I had issues. So
again.
it likes me on one device, but not on the other device. I don't know. But it's okay. I'm here.
It's not good.
I'm here
So,
with you.
oh, hi, Coach's Corner.
Coach's Corner.
Really, it's still secretly Coach and Kivitz, but don't tell anyone.
We won't tell anyone.
So we're just waiting for Dr. Honor Dell. I'm having some tech issues with inviting her. I don't know. Nick, are you able to try?
Because I'm not hosting, no, I can't. Hold on. Hold, please. She needs to be in the room to invite her.
Okay, so let's just start jamming.
Okay.
I hope that this works. Maybe.
Yeah, she just needs to click on your thing if she follows you. And I think she does.
Well, she better. She better. Okay, so here's the thing. This is like real life, going with the flow. This is like technology. You know, we've only like been planning this for weeks. But, friends, this is live.
Live.
Live. So,
What are we talking about?
So, we're talking about what do you want?
What do you want?
Yeah. So, to all of you who just joined, we are the Coach's Corner, and we are doing we're doing I like doing this during the day. Usually I'm so tired by the time that we chat. Like, also this ring light has all of the freckles.
Oh my God, I have mine on too.
Okay, so anyway, sorry. We have to stop kikiing. Hi, Ale. And talk. So, Coach's Corner. This is me and Nick. This is our brand. It's very unique. No one else uses it. And we're doing a series in September this month around what do you want? And what we mean by that is like we're playing around with like topics of desire and fulfillment And it's really leading up to our big program that we're launching next month. And I shouldn't say launching because, like, this is hella our second round.
It's our second round.
It's been launched.
It's relaunching.
Relaunching. Realignment. Nick, do you want to tell the party people about our program?
Oh my God, we are relaunching our signature program, Career 2.0. It is an intensive career exploration for anyone who might even be considering changing careers, right? Or looking for a new job even, or maybe you're just unhappy with the job that you have and you don't know what's possible because you haven't explored that. I mean, there's a lot, but Career 2.0 is an opportunity for you to look at what kind of career is going to make you really happy. Is that right? Did I miss something?
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Yeah, I think, I don't know if y'all can relate to this, but definitely it's New York City culture to hate your job, right? And it's like I talk to so many people that say to me, like, I know I want to do something else. But
by the way, that's a thing here in Nashville too. Just it's everywhere.
Oh yeah, but like New Yorkers think
yeah.
New Yorkers think that it's like it's only like our world. Like there aren't people outside of New York.
I know. I'm expanding your worldview, New Yorkers.
Oh, there's a girl on The Circle, this new season of The Circle from Nashville.
I have not watched.
Quite good, but I thought of you.
Okay, so Career 2.0, you get this kick-ass career exploration, career development, some resume stuff, all sorts of fun stuff with my dear friends on the other side of my camera, Miss Gabriella. And then you get weekly support and group coaching with me, which I think is fun and exciting. And we explore whatever that week's theme is and try to integrate some of the work that you're doing with Gabriella, but also to look at some new stuff. Because as we have learned, unhappiness in your career or dissatisfaction with your career can bleed over into other areas of our lives, right? We are not just our careers. We are whole, complete people with a vast array of stuff. Because we're complicated.
That's beautiful. I just got a nice note from our Dr. Honordell that she is on her way.
Great.
She got confused. Probably I get to own the miscommunication. Because that's life. That's life.
And you know what? When you get to own it, you know what you get to do with it?
What?
Well, because you're in control then. So you get to own it, and then you get to like move it along, work through it, grow from it.
So I'm gonna like prep us. Like I'm gonna talk about Honordell before she even gets here.
Do it.
Yeah, bitch. So we
prime us.
I hope she actually shows up. So we've got Dr. Honordell joining us, and if you see me looking to the side, I'm reading the email. So we've got, her bio says that she's an interpersonal thought leader who creates leadership and talent experience. Oh, here she is! Hold on.
Oh my gosh, you get so excited.
I mean, come on, here's our girl.
Woo! Hi!
Yay! Oh my God! Yay!
We did it!
Welcome!
Thank you.
Yay! I was just reading your bio to the party peoples.
Yeah.
So we've got Dr. Honordell is an interpersonal thought leader who creates leadership and talent experience strategy for Deloitte's human capital consulting practice. And her passions are developing psychological safety and encouraging sensitive souls. Fuck, I love that. And she works with organizational leaders to create the structural change that supports positive employee experience. Her academic research is focused on coaching and imposter syndrome, change readiness, and collective defensiveness and human dignity in organizational settings.
Woo!
Yeah, that's you!
Welcome.
That's you!
That's me in a nutshell. Basically, if you're a dick, then I'm going to do a lot of research to force you to stop being a dick. That's really how it is.
That's
Wow.
like the dream.
I love it.
Nick, if you had a magic wand, who would you send to Dr. Dell?
Oh, that's an offline conversation, I'm sure. I'm not going to put anyone on blast. But can I tell? So for the folks watching, this is the first time I am meeting
Yeah, this is like
Dr.
I
Dell.
threw you together.
And no, I'm in love. And what I want to say is, because I'm such a geek, I had an opportunity to do a business chemistry workshop a few years ago.
Ooh, what's your business chemistry?
I am a Pioneer driver.
Okay.
So very big picture, and I like to get shit done. So
I love it. So Deloitte has this business chemistry thing, which is really cool. It's a personality test. But what's really interesting is it measures not your normal personality, but your work personality, which can be different. And how you show up in the workplace and how you expect people to work with you is a really important part of teaming and selecting project teams internally, but also externally when you're thinking about how you want to relate to your client. And it's fascinating. So now I have a hard time, like in the past, I'm such a Enneagram person. I would just be like, oh, they're an 8. But now I'm like, oh, they're a driver. Like I just,
I love
all the
that.
time.
I love that.
it.
That's also so interesting. I never thought about like who you are in the workspace could be like that different from who you are in rest of life.
Totally. It's something I hadn't thought about either, but like, you know how you might say, oh, like I really like them as a person, but I would never want to work with them. It's that.
That's
Well,
probably me.
and
I don't like
to,
me in the workplace either.
I love working with you. Shut up.
Thanks.
No, but not to veer us off too far, but you know, there's this, as we know, personality changes over our lifetime, right? And there's this large body of research to suggest that it is environmentally specific, right? So like the way my personality at work is different than my personality at home, or my personality when I'm at the club, or whatever that is. I mean, they're very similar, right? I mean, we're talking about nuanced differences, but they're still different. Me as part of the collective or part of the whole is different than me here right now by myself. I don't know. It's very interesting. And I just think the business, when I saw Deloitte, I was like, oh, I need to mention that, because I thought it was a very interesting, I think it's very interesting work. Oh my gosh, I can't use my words right now.
Yeah, I'm like, do you think it's interesting?
So interesting. It's so interesting. And you know what else is interesting? Desire and fulfillment and getting what you want.
Look at you keeping us on track, you driver.
Yeah.
Cracking my whip.
Play.
Well, what's interesting, because of the Pioneer driver, I often imagine myself like with cracking a whip, which is a whole other conversation. But
that goes back to the club.
Do you know me? Have we hung out? Oh my God. Okay. No, but I'm just thinking about like fulfillment and what it is that we want. I'm very curious to understand how desire shows up in your work and your life, but more specifically your work. Take it anywhere you want. I'm stacking my questions here.
Ooh.
I'm only a coach.
One question at a time.
One question at a time, sweet Jesus.
But no, I like the way that you group them together, because it's challenging me. When I thought about talking about desire, I had thought about how it shows up in my own life more than how it shows up in my coaching. But what I've really noticed since I've started working in talent experience is that, just like everything else, it's all about fear, right? And how many of my work conversations center around, if you weren't afraid, what would you do? And there it is. Like, it's all about the desire to express yourself, the desire to explore things that you might not be good at, but you find interesting in some way, to prioritize human beings over work, to make choices that feel different or risky. I think desire shows up in every coaching conversation that I have, because in every coaching conversation that I have, someone needs me to tell them it's okay to do the thing that they're afraid to do.
Mm. And do you tell them not to be afraid?
I am like an intellectual geek, so I love to find out why they're afraid first. I love digging into that and figuring out, is this a pattern? Is this thing that you're afraid of impacting you outside of this one thing that you're desiring but not doing? What else are you desiring but not doing? Why don't you treat yourself to that pleasure? You know, I think figuring out why you're holding back is the most important part for me as a coach. But for them, you're right. It's about saying, fuck this. Like, I'm important and I'm deserving and I'm going to live my best life.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I think when I think about desire and like fulfillment, I always think about like death. And I'm laughing because my friend Danielle, I can see, is watching, and she's my existential friend. I am like most human beings, like so fucking terrified of death, but she's very comfortable talking about it. So, hi Danielle. And what I think about is like, because life is so meaningless, which is like so upsetting at first to think about, like, oh, we just like come and then we like die and then that's it, as far as we know. Because life is so meaningless, it's actually this like cool blank slate where we get to determine the meaning. Like, we get to choose what we desire. And like, when I think about life fulfillment, when I think about that question of like, what's the thing that you're so afraid to just go do? I'm always just like, dude, it's my one life. Like, Drake said YOLO, and like, it's so true. And like, that's what gets me going, is I'm like, if everything is meaningless, then I get to determine what's meaningful, and I get to just do it or have it or create it. That's what gets me going.
David Brooks wrote a great book about your eulogy self versus your resume self. And so I always think about that, right? Like, you know, when someone wants me to, I don't know, like miss out on a family dinner to work a couple extra hours late, I think, which project is going to show up in my eulogy? Is it my family, or is it this like PowerPoint, right? And that's how I make my decisions. That's how I prioritize.
Wow, what a great frame.
Right?
Yeah.
Who knew?
That
David
makes me
Brooks.
so honored that we get to go to dinner tonight. That means that, you know, I'm part of your eulogy project.
I would rather my eulogy say I went out to dinner with you.
Oh, it's hard to hear you now.
Oh, I was going to say,
Oh,
I would rather my eulogy say that I went out to dinner with you tonight. Right?
I'm so honored. So when you were talking about like your clients and like identifying what's the thing that they really want, do you have any like vignettes or stories or success things that you can like share with us? Some examples?
Yeah. So one of the things that I love to do is coach people of all ages. So I coach people who are kids. I coach people who are seniors, and that range is really fulfilling for me. But I recently led a leadership retreat in Montana a few weeks ago, and I had the CEO who wanted to talk about his next step and what that next phase of his life looks like. He's nearing retirement, but he's not ready to let go. And so what we did was we did a hike, and we spent 3 days in the Montana wilderness hiking around until he figured out what he was willing to let go of. And it's an interesting thing, because when I'm coaching younger people, it's about adding more, right? And when you're coaching older people, it's about saying yes to less. And you're still important, and you're still valuable, and you still have your identity even when you do less, right? And so that leadership retreat was really powerful for both of us because he was talking about his value has changed from what he does to what space he creates for others. And so for him, it was about saying yes to stepping back. And that was what his fear was, being irrelevant or becoming becoming closer to death, which again is, you know, what a lot of people are afraid of.
Wow, I love that. What I'm curious what the connection was with the hiking, like what that experience was that had him get to the awareness.
Yeah, so there's this, I don't know if you're familiar with the story, but in 1949, there were 13 smoke jumpers who passed away at Mann Gulch. And if you haven't read the book Young Men and Fire, it's a fabulous book by the same guy who wrote A River Runs Through It. And there's so many great leadership lessons in that book. One of them is that the guy who had the solution, no one listened to him, and they all passed and he survived. And it really is a book about openness and humility and thinking outside the box, because everyone wanted to use the same knowledge they used for fighting other fires in this fire, but it was a different situation. So I took him to Mann Gulch, and we climbed around. There's beautiful crosses where each of the smoke jumpers passed, and when you're there, you see the decision-making process. You see where people stayed together and where they separated. You see where people turned around. You see where people gave up. And it's a really interesting place to look at, you know, when you're facing death, what decisions do you make?
You know what I'm getting from this right now too is not every fire is equal, right?
Absolutely.
Like we can have wisdom, we can learn from our experiences, and yet those are just tools in the toolbox, right? Every problem is different.
Wow, I'm so touched by this. I'm like a little silent. I'm never silent.
Yeah. And so one thing that's interesting, Nick, is that one of the lessons we learned when we read the book in school was that the men all carried their heavy tools with them, and the ones who dropped their tools and went naked were the ones who fared better. But the ones who clung on to their tools, their identity, the things that they had learned before and were misapplying to a new situation, they're the ones who got stuck.
Wow. And the image that elicits for me, especially in a conversation about desire and fulfillment, and also having to examine our fear, and I'm sure we could go into shadow work and all of that, is, you know, this notion that we're reborn in every moment, right? We're reborn in every moment, and from that place of rebirth, we really can choose whatever the next step is, right? We don't always have to hold on. We can carry things with us, right? But we don't have to, because we get to choose, right? Wow.
There's a quote from Vanilla Sky that's something like, every passing moment is another chance to start over. And I love that.
I'm just breathing that in right now.
Right?
Wow.
I'm you know, talking about this older client and where he is in his journey versus someone who is younger. You know, I know that, especially because of the work that we all do, we talk about being versus doing a lot, right? And for me, there's something that happens in the lifespan where we go from our identity being so much about what we're doing to our identity being about who we are, right? And I'm wondering when that happens, or how that happens, and how that relates to us getting what we want, right? I don't know. Is that too out there?
No, I don't think so. I think, you know, I just believe really strongly in power,
Mm,
internal, external, collective, and you know, everyone has the power to manifest the things that they want.
mm,
And it's all about like connecting with that power in yourself and communicating that power to others and then sharing that power ultimately as a collective body. So for me, it's like when you're talking about how to get what you want, how to manifest your desire, it's all about like connecting deeply within the power within yourself and then shining that light outside.
mm.
Does that resonate for you?
Yeah, I think so. You know, a lot of the work that I do is also in the D&I realm as well. And so I often think about power, but I'm thinking about power structures, right? Power over, power with, power to, and you know, and thinking about the power that we have and we hold in the space that we hold, also holding like this equitable lens of power. And so that's where my mind goes, especially when we talk about power, but thinking about shining your power out. Like what does that look like in an equitable space? Because I think it's very relevant. It's a very relevant topic for right now, for this moment in time.
Yeah. And I think part of shining it out is about courage
Mm,
and the faith that your power is enough.
wow.
I
Yeah.
think part of it is to give no fucks and say, if it's not received, then this wasn't the right situation. It's not that there's something wrong with my power,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And then I guess the other part for me is about saying, okay, all of our power is designed because it's funny the way Gabby was saying, you know, life is meaningless and it's all about the meaning that we create. I feel really differently. I feel like um, our purpose is to connect all of our powers together and become Captain Planet, you know,
Mm,
and that it's all about just finding like you have your key and you're just out there trying to find the lock that it opens.
Mm.
You don't know
mm,
where you're supposed to shine your power, so you just have to shine it everywhere, and then like there will be people who will receive and respond to that, and that's what you were meant to do.
mm. I love that so much, and um, I think we have lost so much ancient wisdom of the collective, of the community. You know, we are so egocentric today, which is great in a lot of ways. And we've also lost the wisdom of the community. My identity is the community, and the community's identity is me, right? And thinking about connecting all of our power together, our collective impact, which is another buzzy phrase right now, but our collective impact together. Um, I really loved that, and thank you for the Captain Planet reference. That was actually really great.
I liked that imagery a lot.
I honestly, it's embarrassing, but I use it all of the time because I feel like it so succinctly describes how I view our role in a collective society, but also how I feel about, you know, power. We have this thing that
Mhm.
burns inside of us and just goes, "Moo." And you know, some people will ignore it and some people won't see it and some people will hate on it. But like there's definitely going to be people who value you for you, and that's not why we're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, what I'm hearing is a little bit of a distinction. And totally correct me if I'm wrong, but like what I'm hearing is you talk a lot about like our like purpose, our responsibility, right? Finding the key that, or finding the lock that we have the key to. And maybe this is just my own shit, but sometimes when I feel like my purpose or my shoulds or my responsibilities, I hold those a little bit as separate from like my wants and my desires. I think, let me back up. When I connect into my personal life purpose, like that's where I'm deep into my want and desire. That's where it's the both and. But when I think about this like should or this responsibility, that actually like energetically takes me out of want.
Cool.
When I think about, I don't know, this idea of should is something that I struggle with. I don't know if that lands for you.
I totally get what you're saying, and I'm a rebel too. So, so the shoulds should make me uncomfortable, but in this case they don't, and I think it's because it's a self-determined should, and it's not one that I'm imposing on anyone else or expecting anyone else to meet me on. It's just what I have determined I should do or is for me.
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about like what you do with your clients to tap into desire and fulfillment. Like what do you want?
Oh, I want so many things. I have never lived in a house that I couldn't be kicked out of. And so for me, the biggest thing will be having a place that's my own. Having a spot where I can say I can stay here as long as I want, and that safety and emotional validation, I think, is my inner child desire. But the other things that I desire, I have a stepdaughter who's beautiful and 19, and I really want to see her go to med school and live out all of her dreams. She's made my life so interesting and loving, and I have seen her accomplish so much. I had no idea how fulfilling it would be for me to see her do well. And so I know that as she continues to follow through on her dreams, it'll be fulfilling for me 10 times. You know, it's crazy. What else do I desire? I'm a Scorpio. I love pleasure. I love things like travel and food and sex and lust and shadow. I love all of that stuff. Woo woo. And yes.
You're speaking our language.
Of course. So yeah, I mean, I definitely desire pleasure in the physical sense that way too. But it's mostly for me, the thing that makes me tick is relationship. So it's all about desiring having relationships that are intellectually stimulating and interesting and surprising, along with emotionally validating, and yeah, I guess like help me in my growth journey to become less judgmental and more open in how I show up in the world.
What do you do to make sure that your desires get fulfilled?
Surrounding myself with the right people is a huge part of it. And the other part, I think, is really creating space. And saying, okay, like, for example, I do my own Shabbat every Friday where I decompress from the week. I don't take phone calls. I don't have any input, and I just let everything output. And then I'm ready to take on my own personal things. I think it's about draining the I don't know what the right word is, fat? Like draining the the heavy energy from my week before I try to take on my own things so that I have the energy and space and bandwidth to do it.
Mm.
I love that. That's a beautiful practice. I
Right?
really love that. I actually, I had a human design reading today. I don't know if you're familiar with human design, but it's, oh my God, I'm going to butcher it. I really don't know. But it's basically brings together a lot. They look at your birth chart of like when and where you were born. And it brings together a lot of different modalities from, you know, Kabbalah and different like energy modalities to basically create insights around like who you are and what makes you tick, but also like really to identify the roadmaps to really maximize like, you know, your potential and your expression in the world. And so this has all been on my brain. And one of the things that I'm literally going to look at my notes, it says, she said that where is it? My purpose, I can't find it, but my purpose in life is to give to other people, but not before myself.
Mm.
And
Yes.
it's just so funny because this is something that like I have been preaching as a coach to my clients for like years and years and years, right? I always talk about like your cup needs to overflow, and it's all the shit that I've been saying, but to have someone say that like me as a human, the literal design of who I am on this planet is someone that A, is here to support people, but B, not at the detriment of myself. And to have someone say that to me, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, and she was like, if you did one thing in life to support yourself, one thing, it's figuring out what has you rest. Like, what is rest? What is reset for you? And then figuring out when you need it. Like, when are your natural ebbs and flows in energy? And I was like,
Right?
it's just stuff that all she said to me was the stuff I've been saying to everyone for so long. But the fact that she said that, I was like, oh, I like really need to actually do that.
It's not enough to just know it.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I'm getting out of this conversation is you're thinking about fulfilling our desires, and we touched on how power relates to that, right? And that it takes courage to have power. And I'm also thinking that as we're talking about fulfillment and really setting boundaries for ourselves, that takes courage too, right? Like that takes so much courage to set boundaries, to say, you know what, I'm going to have this practice that I'm going to do for myself every week, or whatever the daily practice is, or I'm going to make space, right? Whether that's in a ritual or a physical space or you know, whatever that thing is, and it almost becomes this feedback loop of sorts, right? That the courage, the power is like self-fulfilling, but it refills itself, right? Like I am my own battery in a way.
Yeah.
And that's what energizes me or pushes me towards getting what I want or what I think I need, or fill in the blank.
So cool. I love that. I am my own battery.
I'm imagining as you're talking like a tornado where it just like builds on itself and spirals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But a good kind of spiral.
Yeah, you're like, I'm nice. I'm a
Because
nice one.
I have spirals all the time.
Like a rainbow one, not like a heavy black cloud one.
Yes, Care Bear stare.
Yes. That's my favorite.
I had Care Bear sheets in college.
I love it.
It was bad.
No, there's nothing bad about that. That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Where else should we play? I have your notes here. Describe a time you felt unfulfilled and you created a shift. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah. So, when I don't actually remember if it's the same one I wrote down, but I back in 2009, I was working on Wall Street, hated it, wanted to be a hockey mom because that was like what people did next. And I decided that I was going to go to Southeast Asia for a few months before I moved back. And then Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers happened. Suddenly there was a recession, and there weren't jobs to go back to. And, you know, making a shift outside of that context was really easy at the time because the jobs that I knew no longer existed, and there wasn't a safety net. So that kind of propelled me to say, okay, the only thing on the table that I want to do that's available right now is this really risky one. And so it's actually funny. I had a friend of a friend who said to me, do you want to go teach English with me overseas? And I was like, sure. And then she met a guy and decided not to go. And I went on her trip by myself.
Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing, right? Like she was the key that opened that door for me.
Wow.
And I went to Jakarta. I lived there for a year. I taught English. I made the best friends of my life. I learned about intercultural communication and patience and collectivity and just not being such a crazy New England should person. And when I came back, I don't even remember my life before that. It created such a shift in the way that I show up, in who I choose to spend my time with, in where and what I choose to do. That, you know, it was really a life-changing thing for me. And it created the shift that I didn't even know that I needed or wanted. But since then, I believe that if COVID were allowing for international travel, that, you know, there would be so many of these people who are looking for their next thing, or they're looking for well-being, or they're realizing that their job that they're burning out on isn't the right fit for them. You know, I really wish there was something traveling that they could do.
Yeah.
Because that was really what created the biggest shift for me.
Yeah, I love what you wrote in your answer. You called it your eat, pray, love moment.
Oh yeah.
Right. And I'm really curious, especially when you're working with clients that may not have access to go take a year off for, I'm not saying it's not possible, right? We can create shifts, but like how do we create those eat, pray, love moments like every day or right here where we are?
Yeah, I think there's something beautiful about the sequence that Liz writes about, because, you know, the eating is really about filling your cup. It's really about, you know, getting to a place where you feel full and safe and healthy. And it's about eating, for me at least. It's about eating. It was about reading. It was about studying and building this psychology knowledge base. And it was about making new friends and, you know, getting out of my comfort zone socially. So I think you can do that anywhere, but maybe it's taking a class. Maybe it's, you know, going to a new group that you do like a meetup or something, right? But it's about creating a shift where you are so that your input changes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's really around like, I mean, at the risk of just repeating almost word for word what you said, I was really struck by that idea of it's like you're creating it, right? Like when you went abroad, I'm sure that you could never have predicted the gifts and, you know, what came after. But at the same time, like by even choosing to be in that situation is how you had it go differently, right? You created it, right? You knew that there was something you wanted. And it's not like it was an easy roadmap, like, oh, from A to B, but you were like, I'm going to show up differently in the world, right? I'm going to step outside of my comfort zone. I'm just going to play. I'm going to see what's out there. And I think there's so many people that are clear in what they desire, but feel like they need to keep on the same train tracks that they're on.
Right.
And I think the thing that shifts it is merely just shifting it. Like
Yeah.
just doing something different, whatever the different is, and that is enough to put something in motion.
You can still get what you desire, but you're just adding to the equation. You're not like, you know, I think people think that they're going to dilute their focus if they or have fun. But that's an essential part of the equation because that's what energizes you and that's what gives you like a new angle.
Yeah, you know, for me, the practice is noticing the pattern. And patterns aren't bad, right? But just noticing the pattern and changing it. And it's for me, it's something as simple as like if I go on a walk, I know like if I step outside my apartment here, I have a standard path that I want to take. My body just wants to take me there. And I catch that in the moment and I will shift and say, I'm going to go this direction, right? Or maybe on your walk to work or your drive to work, take a different road for a few days and see how that feels and what, you know. And I think just almost rewiring, right? I do a lot of somatic work, but just rewiring has so many implications and spillover into everything else that we do, right? I mean, it's amazing, just a tiny shift, like to notice whatever your automatic is, that's the word I'm looking for, and just take a slightly different path one day and see what happens.
Yeah, and I think to connect it all back, like when I think of shifting away from just the automatic, I think of power, right? The power, like stepping back and saying, like, I'm actively going to choose, right? I'm not going to let my automatic lead the way, but I'm going to stop and I'm going to choose. And maybe I choose the same thing, but it's the action of the choice. It's the action of tapping into your own power, your own intuition, your own decision making, your own expression, your own voice to say, okay, I'm choosing this.
And the courage to be uncomfortable doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Change. What if, you know, you double checked 10 years ago and you liked it the way that you were doing it, so you kept doing it that way? Right? Allow yourself to grow. And, you know, hell, I probably would never drink red wine if I listened to my 16-year-old self, right?
Yeah. And what a life that would have been.
The life that would. Okay, maybe you'll like it later.
Amazing. Well, this was so fun.
Thank you for having me.
Are you kidding? Thank you for just like coming on and just being like, hey, can we jam and just like chat? Like, you're such a yes girl. And I just like, I can't speak for Nick, but I so admire you and your brilliance and the work that you do in the world. And thank you for the gift of coming on here and just like, oh, you're amazing.
Don't know you, but now we know each other and we're best friends.
Yeah, you're already
absolutely. No, I will echo everything Gabby said. Thank you so much. We're definitely going to connect off of this. It's been a pleasure to chat with you and to meet you. And for everyone else listening and following, the way we have set up Coach's Corner, this series over the next month is sort of different times. So be on the lookout for our posts, our stories.
3 next week.
Lots coming up, yeah. But thank you so much for being with us today. We're so appreciative. And I hope that everyone listening goes out and finds what they want today.
Yeah, I love that. Pick one thing you want and get it today.
And know that you can get it. Now.
Woo! I love
it.
Mwah! Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thanks.